Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Brad Thompson with BT Ballers Podcast, talking a little NCAA tournament yesterday and today with a preview of all the games. I'm joined here by our resident college basketball insider, Brian Tass, or College Hoops MD. How you doing today, Coach?
Yeah, pretty good. 3 days into this thing, it's been a it's been a heck of a run.
It
Great
has been.
times.
Yeah, I've got a question already, or I've got a lot of questions, but have you noticed I'm looking here and outside of, let's say, well, outside of Drake, uh, which I still don't think was a big one at a 6'11, but my niece obviously was. This is the first time I can remember that early on there hasn't been a lot of shocking upsets. I don't know why that is.
No, not really. I don't know why either. I mean, I think the teams that have been seated higher have played what they're supposed to do and done what they're supposed to do. Even I was talking to my brother yesterday. He said, really, there haven't been that many close games. Buzzer beaters, really. So
No, there
I can't put my finger on it. I don't think that this was one of those tournaments where there was a lot of blowouts, but teams that were seated higher took care of business.
they have, but I've also been seeing a lot of bigger leads and then allowing teams to come back in it. I really don't know why that is.
Yeah, I can't put my finger on that either. Um, you can't take this is a situation where you can't take your foot off the gas once you get a lead. So teams figure that out in the first round. They're going to have to put somebody away.
Right. And I think if teams are still doing, I mean, we're starting to get into the nitty gritty here a little bit. I mean, we're advancing to the Sweet 16. And then after that is, I don't think these teams, with the matchups getting, because it's going chalk, these teams can't do that now. I mean, everybody's good now. So, I mean, you can't do it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, let's get right to it. Let's jump in with Michigan. Michigan, for a second there, looked like they were in trouble. They rallied late. Couple of stats here that I really saw that obviously stood out is, Vladislav Golden was golden. He had 23 and 12. Danny Wolf, solid game as usual. The old Mr. Reliable, 14, 9, and 4. And couple of things. We talked about this yesterday. I really thought that somebody had to come out of nowhere. Somebody had to really step up their game, and two did. Start off with L.J. Carson. He had 11 points. He broke the defense down, got into the paint, and then what I think at least is Golden's Golden. We knew he was going to do what he did, but Roddy Gale Jr. 26 points. He was U of M fan scapegoat for a long time. And boy, he came through, and I personally think he was the reason they won that game.
Yeah, no doubt. He led the charge. He sparked them on offense. He got everything going. Vladdy had a great game again. We said he had to score over his 20-point average, and he did. He took care of business on both ends, offense and defensively. Wolf showed up in the stat sheet, but not in a big way. But I tell you what, he handled the ball well. He made some incredible passes out there. I thought he defended pretty well. Had a great day. Um, in the game, I think our preview of the game, I talked about um, the rebounding situation was going to be huge, and Michigan was going to have to keep them off the glass in order to win this one. And actually, it was a flip situation where Michigan out rebounded them. What was it, 48-39? And I think Michigan had some second chances. They kept them off the glass. That was a big difference. So Michigan looked good yesterday. They looked good. They looked good consistently for an entire game. I don't think they disappeared. They had a lead. They kept the lead. They melted away a little bit, but then they got it back. They ran the end of the game. Their best part of the game was the end of the game. They made on I think it was a 12-0 run or something like that. Good for them. They win in advance and they're playing well.
They are, and even though they had 9 turnovers, they limited them. But I think, and there's no such thing as a good turnover. We all know that. But they didn't really hurt. I mean, it wasn't a factor, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yep.
Uh, Boy, I'll tell you what, Pharrell Payne though, boy, I mean, he had 26 points beating his total from last time. And, you know, I mean, Michigan in the first half, and it sometimes didn't have an answer for him. But my question I want to pose to you is did A&M get away from him?
I don't think they got away from him. I think Michigan did a good job of rotating on him and not letting him have as many effective chances. Well, he scored 26 points. I mean, come on, that's the main reason why they even had a chance of being in the game. And he was earning those points every time. And Michigan did a great job on him. I don't know how you do any more with that kid. It had to come from the guards, and they just never did. They never showed up. Michigan did a great job defending him, which I said was going to be a big deal. If you stop them getting drives into the basket, you're going to have a good chance to win. And they didn't allow him to do it.
Right. You know, you mentioned the guards. Wade Taylor the fourth. I mean, he was scoreless in the first half. Picked
Right?
it up in the second. You know, with 14, but he was 4 of 15, and he was one of 8 from the three. And Texas and A&M can't let that happen if they wanted to win.
Yeah, they needed to be able to shoot it well out there a little bit. Not the greatest shooting team in the whole wide world, but still they needed to make a few to make the Michigan defend well out there. And I mean, even Michigan's just a good defense. It wasn't amazing, but it was good defense. Shut them down from the 3-point line.
Yes, yes, it was. Uh, so on to the next game, and boy, I'm gonna catch hell from this from every Purdue fan from West Lafayette to Hong Kong. Uh, I mean, and I'm calling them Purdue today. Pains me to do, and I was wrong. I was wrong, but I'm not wrong about this. All Purdue co-eds have cow tongues and hairy nipples, and they always will. But so, uh, you know, there were two flops that I watched yesterday. All right, one was McNeese State, and the other was taking my ass to the Snow White Disney movie. Okay, people out there, save your $10, and when it comes on Disney Plus, cancel Disney Plus. Okay, it's that bad, but I am not Roger Ebert. But boy, Purdue, man, they took the Cowboys like Rip Wheeler in Yellowstone. They took him to the train station. They played their best game in a long time. Talk a little bit about that.
Purdue had their most dominating win I've seen in months. They shot the ball well. Fletcher Lawyer had a great game shooting wise and doing everything he does. He had 15 points, and Trey Kaufman ran. I mean, he had a great game. He had 25 points or 22 points and 15 rebounds. Those two guys right there, uh, came out yesterday and did the things they needed to do for Purdue to dominate that win. They shot really well to start with, 7 from 9 from the field goal range and 3 for 4 3-point shots. It kind of put McNeese on their heels so much they couldn't do much. But I will say this: McNeese looked bad yesterday. They looked bad, and it wasn't. It was partially because Purdue did a good job, but I mean they looked bad. They had no plan. They were I said they were ragged. They looked like a PE class where one kid forgot his shoes and had to borrow somebody's from the locker room. I mean, they were not ready to do the job yesterday in any way, shape, or form. So, yep, that was the score was what it was. Purdue played great. They're going to move on. So we'll see what they do next.
You know, Purdue, if they play that way, they could be a real problem for the rest of this tournament. I mean, that's the Purdue everybody expected.
Yeah,
I got to give them their flowers. They look good, man. They look scared.
yeah,
So moving on to what I was really looking forward to was the St. John's Arkansas game. I don't think it disappointed, even though uh, 91 shots were missed in that game. Holy, I mean, hello. They missed more shots than the Stormtroopers did in Star Wars.
yeah,
you know. But I thought it was a chippy game to say it, to put it say the least. It was one of those old Big East games, and not just because it was Patino and Calipari, but it harkens you back to the days of the '80s Big East with Ed Pinckney, Patrick Ewing, Demetrius Gore from Pitt. You know, they had 44 fouls in that game. I mean, good God.
yeah. Physical game. Yep, definitely back and forth physical game. A couple points here or there could have determined, the outcome. But Arkansas played consistently well longer in that game than St. John's. St. John's was relying on, making a couple buckets and making a little run, but Arkansas did the job on both ends, offensively and defensively, the whole end. We saw one of the controversies from this game, maybe, and there was some questions at the end. Well, why is R.J. Lewis on the bench for 5 minutes for St. John's and not playing? Well, he stunk. He wasn't making his shots. The stat sheet doesn't lie. And I mean, just because a kid has done well before, maybe tonight's not your night. Sit down, buddy. We'll get somebody else in there. It wasn't because of a lack of effort. Sometimes there's a lid over the rim for you. And I think, that'll be picked apart. And why do you sit your best kid and all this? And no, we're going to go by what's going on well out there at the moment. And he is sat the kid and somebody else needed to step up. St. John's just got outplayed, flat out outplayed. And that is the bottom line. Arkansas came out and they did what they needed to do for the whole entire game. They didn't take a lapse. Everybody got in some foul trouble, so there's no excuses there. Congrats to Arkansas for moving on. Good team. We'll see what they do next.
Right. Uh, Obviously, Arkansas played amazing. And let me ask you this: I mean, St. John's, they had a hell of a year. There's no doubt about it. Uh, do you think it was a matter of conferences, though? I think we can agree, even though the Big Ten's great, that SEC is the best conference this year, and the Big East. Well, they're not the Big East like we talked about just now. In
Oh
the
yeah.
eight.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but again, they got outplayed yesterday, and teams can do that. That can happen to any team. Doesn't matter what conference you're in. If you get outplayed, you're just not going to win. And I felt there was like something missing yesterday out there. They didn't have a lot of consistency. Um, there wasn't a good drive. It just not your day.
Right. Yeah, they didn't bring their A game, and we know that happens, but this is the tournament, and you have to.
Yep.
Every game. Uh, on to Auburn and Creighton. Creighton had a lead 37-35 at halftime. They were leading, it was tied with 14 minutes to go. And then Baker Mazar for Auburn goes out with that hurt hip, but they played over it. To me though, before you give me your analysis, I mean, I can say it because I know you're going to do it's a long way from Michigan State, and while it's phew, Auburn looks beatable. Auburn looks beatable, and I'll tell you what, they got to play now because they're
Yeah.
playing Michigan, and they can't keep playing like this, or they're going to be an early exit.
Auburn has holes, and we saw them again yesterday. We've seen them a little bit over the year. Were they good all year long? Yep, they were. That's why they were ranked number one for majority of the season. But they do have holes, and they have brain farts. We'll call them. Where there's some times where I think they go brain dead out there, and they don't do the things that they got them to where they're at. But give credit to Creighton because they are a great team. They had chances in that game to take leads, win the game, do the business they needed to do. They're maybe not quite on paper as talented as Auburn is, so they're overcoming some of these odds to get what done yesterday, what they almost did. I love that team. I love that team, and they came up short, but they played a strong game.
Yeah, Creighton is definitely. I mean, you can say they don't get there. They don't get to the promised land of the Final Four. But I'll tell you what, every single year you hear about Creighton.
Mm-hmm.
So on to the next game, Wisconsin BYU. All right, I mean BYU. Here we go again. I think I've convinced you, but they had a 47-36 lead at the break. I think we can both agree that Richie Saunders is pretty special. He poured in another 25. Uh, One thing I noticed is what BYU really likes to do is they like to come down to half court. They like to set Saunders up, set him up right on the corner right away. And if he's there, he's going to drain the shot. If not, he passes it back, or even has the ability, to want to drive and get to the hoop. What did you see?
They did that at the end of the game, and they needed to. They were. It was a 2-possession game, and you could tell they were going down. They got Saunders on the wing, and their coach was pushing him to get to the corner because that's where he does his good stuff. Um, you know, I think Wisconsin did a pretty good job on him overall. Wisconsin had some chances to. It was a fun game to watch, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I like Wisconsin. I think they do some great stuff. They had a great season. Uh, BYU is. I'm a believer now because they do great stuff on both ends. They have talent, to do things on offense, orchestrate, get one guy open, get a couple guys to the basket. They have an inside presence, but Wisconsin made that game fun because they were what most people would see out of it because they were down 8, 9 points a lot of the game, but you just knew that there was a lot of possessions left in the game with 3 minutes to go. I mean, guys, if you're down 10 points and there's 3 minutes left in a basketball game, it's not over, especially in this tournament. I mean, coaches can manage these situations at the free throw line with timeouts, with the TV timeout. You got a couple of reviews where you can go over your strategy a little bit. So by no means Wisconsin down 9 or 10 points with 3 minutes left to go in that game where they were not out and they had a chance. They had a chance at the end to tie that thing with the last shot and they didn't get it. But what a great basketball game, and congrats to BYU for moving on. They are the better team in that matchup now, we know, and they have a chance to do some things.
Yeah, we talked about earlier just now that about letting teams back in. I don't think that was the case. I think this
No.
Wisconsin has a lot of grit, a lot of heart, and like you said, they had the ball in their best players' hands, and that was a makeable shot.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So yeah, so down the stretch, I mean, 13. I mean, they outscored them. It just, I mean, Wisconsin's much like Creighton. They're always going to be around. But I did see this. Greg Gard, he might be on the hot seat in Wisconsin. He has not advanced his teams past the round of 32. So great coach. Don't get me wrong, good guy, great coach. But I think he's got to be on the hot seat entering the next season.
Maybe by that metric, I guess. I don't know. It's portal time. Who knows what he'll get? They've always had the one or two good guards and a couple of big kids from out in the middle of the cornfield somewhere. And they are what they are. They're tough. Um, I wouldn't want to play them in any tournament anywhere because they're going to
Yeah.
give you a hell of a game. I disagree. I don't think Red Guard's anywhere near any hot seats. I think he does a hell of a job over there, and coaches those kids up really well. I think he's well liked. We'll see. You're right though. They haven't made a run, and that's the last Big Ten team to win the national championship was Michigan State. Okay, so who is making a run? I hope it's us this year, but whew.
Right. Well, I mean, it's the society we live in. It's been that way for a while now. It's the microwave society, and people want results. And if you don't get them, well, you don't stay with a coach long enough. At least in my opinion. Let's not talk about the NFL or anything, but I don't think they stay with a coach
Yeah,
long enough. So hopefully the Wisconsin AD can see what you see, and there won't be an issue there. But when you've got the donors and you've got the fan base clamoring, well, we know how that goes. So, nothing more needs to be said on that, but it is what it is.
right. Yep.
So, with UCLA, Tennessee, I mean, Tennessee's just going about their business. Lanier had 20. Score wasn't indicative of how far away it was. I'm looking here and I'm looking at Tennessee. They got the winner of Illinois, Kentucky this afternoon. Then they're taking on, the winner if they get by Illinois. Excuse me, I don't like taking that steps, but I'm looking at the road through the bracket here, and I'm thinking I'm on board with you. I'm looking at Tennessee, and I'm thinking, yeah, this might be Final Four time. They look good.
Yeah. Yeah, they do look good. Florida to me is the clearest best team out there right now, but Tennessee, in my opinion, is the second best team out there right now. Yeah, I have Duke out there in the finals, but yeah, it's a coin flip in my head. Coin flip.
Right? No, that is a coin flip. I mean, I wouldn't want to play them. So, speaking of that, speaking of two teams that could, the Tennessee, they could match up with Houston. Houston had a run. I mean, they had a scare right there. I mean,
Yeah,
Gonzaga, they were denied. This would have been their 10th straight Sweet 16. That ain't freaking easy. Credit to Mark Few.
yeah, he's again, he's in that Mount Rushmore sentence,
Right.
in some respects because he's always out there, he's always doing it, and he's on the West Coast, and he's getting beat up by like teams all the time, the UCLA's and the USC's, and so we'll see.
Yeah. Gonzaga shot 50% of that game. Houston's D took over down the stretch, but everybody's saying Houston's defense, and they are legit. I mean, they're damn good defense. But when Gonzaga shoots 50%, let's say that, I mean, not even let's say when Houston matches up with Purdue, uh, lawyer's gonna be launching them. So Houston again, they're beatable. They're beatable. I have them in my Final Four. But I'm not as confident as I once was.
Yeah,
So
I would agree with that.
yeah. So we got those games out of the way. One game I do want to talk about before we move on is Drake Texas Tech. What'd you see in that yesterday?
Drake had a deficit the most of the game. They were again kind of like Wisconsin. They were down a little bit. You thought, hey, maybe they're going to make a little bit of a run and make it interesting. Never did. And Texas Tech, I thought they were pretty good on defense. They didn't allow a lot of second shots. Played a pretty solid game on both ends. They got an inside-outside game, athletic, explosive. I like them. I mean, I think they're kind of maybe flying under the radar in this tournament where nobody's talking about them a lot, but they may have to start talking about them a lot more.
Right. You stole my thunder there with it. That was my next thing, under the radar. And now we take a look here, the Sweet 16 matchup, and they've got Arkansas.
Yeah.
So quietly, this is about as quiet as a team can make it into the Sweet 16, and even more quiet as I mean, they'll have to match up probably with a Florida team, but you're looking at a Texas Tech team in the grade 8, and this is as quiet as it can be.
Yeah.
So
Not a lot of hype.
no, no, not at all. So let's get into today's games. Get right into it. This game's going to be starting a little bit here, so I don't want to hurry, but I do want to get it because it's going to be box office. It's going to be UConn with Danny Hurley against what everybody's saying right now is the best team in the country in Florida. Um, I look at this matchup, and I think that Florida is very similar to those UConn back-to-back title teams. They're physical. Their guards are definitely physical. I love their guard play, physical. Uh, UConn, they got through on the 8-9. Obviously, they're experience laden. Hurley is a good coach. There's no doubt about it. We joke about him saying, he's the best coach in the country. Well, you know what? In all honesty, and I'm taking this serious. Now he really does have a chance to prove it because if he beats his Florida team with a team he has, then I'm gonna have to. I don't know what I'm gonna have to do because he's still a
Eat
dick.
crow. You're gonna have to
Yeah,
eat crow.
yeah. That is the theme of that could be the theme of the weekend for me. What do you see?
I don't see it as an even matchup, but UConn's going to give them a great swing at it. Florida better come out ready to play for four, well, not 4 quarters, 2 halves. And anything can happen now, Brad. Anything can happen. We all think Florida's the best team out there. I think everybody would be pretty much in agreement that they are solid, but it's the end of the weekend. Who knows?
Right? No, I agree, and we're at that point. And never mess with a team that's been there until you won it back to back.
Yep.
It's a tough out. Uh, I really didn't want to get too much into this game, but I think there's some things here. Duke Baylor, I saw something interesting when I was doing my homework today, and Jeremy Roach played 4 years at Duke. So there's
Yeah.
going to be, I mean, they're going to be able to pick his brain, and he's going to know, at least I would think he's going to know exactly how to attack him. And Baylor's big and athletic. They can get to the basket. They're decent from the 3-point arc. I don't think they can contain Cooper Flag too much, but they might do a decent job on him. I don't see Baylor really coming out of this game, but your thoughts?
I don't see him winning the game, but I see that being a game that's closer for comfort than Duke would like. Baylor's fast. They have an opportunity to score a lot of points in a short amount of time. Duke's pretty good defensively. I don't think they'll give up a lot of threes, so Baylor's going to have to do it in a different way. I see Duke winning like an 81-76 game. something like
Yeah,
that.
I think you're right there. I do. Uh, I'm going to give the Illinois Kentucky over to you. I'm having a hard time looking at these matchups and really being able to give my opinion. So if I really don't know much, then I always defer to to you, or I defer things that I don't know to my wife. That's a
Yeah,
great.
well,
So
that is a good rule of thumb for any married man. Okay, uh, it's been a weird thing for Illinois because they went through this part of the season where they kind of fell off the radar. The kids got sick. Everybody was thrown up at halftime and all this, right? So they kind of fell off the map for a little while. They started to play better again toward the end of the regular season as a team that I feel like is underappreciated in college basketball. They've got the tools. They got good guards. They have a good presence inside. They're well coached. Um, Kentucky. Kentucky is a mystery to me because they play very spurty this season. They have a good couple weeks. They beat some good teams. They look like a well-oiled machine. And then again, a couple nights they look like they've never played before. And I'm scared to say that they're a good team and a contender to go any farther than they already are. But Brad, they're a little bit scary. They could they could do this. They could win this game today, which they should. I think they're the better team. And then you look at their path to they got a chance to where are they down there? They got a chance to go against Tennessee. So if you win today, you go against Tennessee.
mhm.
Kentucky is good enough to give Tennessee a problem.
Mhm.
So they got it. I give the edge to Kentucky today. I do. I think they're the better team. I think they win this game, and I think they win it by a decent amount. And then you go into the next one going, say, Tennessee plays average. You never know. You never know.
Great, good stuff there. Thank you. Uh, okay, on to the one that most Michiganders are are looking forward to. I know I am.
Whew,
Uh,
it's a long
I've been
day.
doing. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Of course, it's the last game. But I don't know about you. I know you're a former teacher. I still am a teacher, so hey, I can stay up as late as I want because we've got spring break. Uh, no, this is it doing a little more digging here. You know, New Mexico and in state, New Mexico's got four players averaged in double digits. Here's something that I didn't know that I just picked up on right before we went on air. Is New Mexico beat UCLA and USC this year? Was not aware of that. Uh, when I'm looking at this game, I'm seeing that Donovan Dent is the straw that stirs the drink. He's going to have an impact. He can get inside the arc. He's that kind of guard. Uh, there's good size on the interior with New Mexico. I don't think they're gonna win the battle of the boards, but I think it's gonna make it tough for State. I really do. And but MSU's guards, I see them as just being better. They're going to throw the kitchen sink at Dent. I think they got an answer for him. So I think he might get some points early, but halftime adjustments like Izzo makes. I don't see it. I see it. I see it much like the Bryant game. I really do. Where State with those guards, they're gonna wear Dent down. I don't think. I mean, even though New Mexico's bigs are legit, I don't see them really having head and shoulder difference on State, if anything at all. Uh, and you know, just State, do what you do to win. Show up, play your game, punch in, punch out. Let's get on to who would they go against if they do happen to advance? Yeah, uh, we didn't talk about Iowa State Ole Miss. Really don't want to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
really.
But this game, I mean, just do your job, and we don't have any problems.
Uh, right on. Right on. When I was looking at this matchup, I was looking at matchups, and that's I think to me that's going to be one of the major keys to this game is matchups. And Dent is a great player, scoring over 21 points a game, or that's his average. How does Michigan State match up with this guy? Well, I think like you said, throw the kitchen sink at him. Akins is a really good defender. We'll put him on there for a while. Fears is a good defender. Put him on there for a while. I think you give him different looks. I think you give him different pressures. Uh, if he scores 20 today, they'll be right in this game to the end. If he's if he scores 14, 15, they don't have a chance. They got another guard named Nelly Joseph, who I think is pretty good. He scores 14 points on an average, and that's not that you got to keep that kid under control too. So those two things are important. Michigan State's going to have to control their speed and pace of play because New Mexico likes to play fast and explosive. So this Michigan State does not want this to be an 89-84 game at the end of the day. We need to control this pace a little bit, grind it out on offense some, find some looks, get to the free throw line, make some doggone free throws, which we've struggled with at the beginning of games. Maddening. But I don't think the post matchups are going to be a factor. I think our posts will dominate on defense. I think we'll be fine there. Will we be able to score in the post or find our ways to get our guys loose? I think so. There, it's gonna come down to perimeter defense today for Michigan State and cleaning up things on the glass, making sure that we don't let them have second chances and second shots. Other than that, Michigan State's the best team on paper. If they come out and do the things they need to do early in the game, good day for the Spartans.
Yeah, I agree. You'll worry. I'm not concerned. I know the state's got to play. They can't come out here and and as he like to say, a lot of shit to bed. But they'll get the job done. I don't see them not. Before we wrap it up here, before Wisconsin, and Wisconsin could have easily won that game, but we're talking the Big Ten was on 11-0 run. They're still 11-1 here in the tournament, and we're looking at today. I mean, there's nothing that can say that Illinois can't advance. There's nothing that can say that we didn't talk about the game, but that Oregon, the old Pac-10 matchup with Arizona, can't advance. Uh, Looking else, who else we've got here? Maryland, we didn't talk about that. They're probably going to advance. Uh, MSU's going to advance, and boy, this is this is actually almost turned into the Big Ten tournament 2.0. This is this they're playing good basketball. This is whew, this might not this conference actually. I said SEC. This conference might be better.
Yeah, well, we've done a good job in the first round of games, and I think maybe the elephant in the room, not to get too far ahead of things, is if Michigan State wins today, there's a very high likelihood that Michigan and Michigan State are going to play. High likelihood. And woo, baby, the lines are around the building for that game.
I mean, I obviously I'm going to go on. I don't think I'm going to go on a limb here, but I don't think that would ever in a grade eight Michigan and Michigan. When has Michigan? I mean, if you could help me here with when has Michigan and Michigan State ever matched up in the NCAA tournament to begin with, let alone get into it in the grade eight, man? I mean, holy cow!
Yeah, I don't remember it, but yeah, let's take care of business today, and we'll worry about that some other time.
No, I agree. I agree. So, well, you know what? We got another long but fun day of watching these games. So, folks, he's our College Hoops Insider MD, Brian Tass, uh, brought to you today with BT Ballers, brought to you by the Michigan Sports Media Network. Coach, again, always a pleasure. Uh, we will find some time to talk tomorrow about these games. And hey, enjoy the day.
I love it. I love it. Love being on here. Let's have a good tournament today.
Alrighty, thank you. And with that, we out.